Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're counting down the hardest bosses in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
The Erymanthian Boar. Even the regular boars are annoying to deal with, and you might find yourself running away from groups of them simply because they're not worth the hassle. But every time Odyssey gives you a boar boss fight, you're in for the long haul. There are two of these in the game, of which the Erymanthian Boar is by far the easiest. It's just you and him, which means his attacks aren't too difficult to block and counter. But you'll want to keep your distance because the boar can inflict a poison status ailment either through melee attacks or area of effect attacks. If you have any engravings that give you poison resistance, they'll be a boon here. Cerberus. Odyssey saved a lot of iconic mythological figures for the Fate of Atlantis DLC, Cerberus chief among them. Hades' three-headed guard dog, Cerberus was, according to the game, once a harmless pet belonging to Persephone, but he's been transformed since then, and Persephone sends Cassandra to fight him. Since he's in the DLC's second episode, he's a very high-level foe, and puts a lot of the base game bosses to shame. Make sure you're always keeping 1 bar of adrenaline full in case you need to heal, and make liberal use of the bow to stay out of range of his leap attacks. Ezekias the Legend. A high-ranking sage in the Cult of Cosmos, Ezekias is the most powerful mercenary in the game. If you're trying to wipe out the cult, you'll have to fight him sooner or later, defeating all the previous heroes of the cult to unveil him. You have to contend not only with him, but with his pet bear and hugely demanding melee attacks. Ultimately though, he is basically a normal mercenary, just an extremely powerful one. If you're good at dodging and time your counters right, you can probably defeat him very early on, whittling his life bar down to nothing and claiming his crown for yourself. But if you make just a few mistakes and are underleveled, it's over. Hades.
And you're going to spend the rest of eternity protecting it. That is your destiny.
The god of the underworld himself, Hades takes it pretty personally after you kill Cerberus, even though it was his wife Persephone who made you do it. It's pretty rare we actually get to fight an Isu, especially before Valhalla, and that's pretty exciting, even if he does send you on a fetch quest first. In typical godly fashion, Hades goes back on his word and decides to fight you so he can keep you in the underworld forever.
Shame it has to end this. You would have made an excellent addition to my destiny.
He's not as difficult as some of the other bosses on our list, but be wary of his large area of effect attacks so that you can get out of range at a moment's notice. The Cretan Bull. The legendary bull who fathered the Minotaur, this bull roams the wilderness of Crete down in the southern half of the map. Like all the legendary animals, it aggroes immediately when you enter the arena, and will charge you faster than any of the boars do. doesn't really have any ranged attacks to contend with, so staying at range is a viable strategy. But it can cross the arena extremely quickly, so you have to be ready to dodge at all times. As always with Odyssey though, if you keep dodging and counter the attacks you can, you'll beat this boss eventually. The Minotaur. Like father, like son. You'll also fight the Minotaur itself during the story of Odyssey, during a late game quest where you journey below the ancient palace on Crete. A child asks you to find their father, who's descended underground to find the mythical labyrinth. Lo and behold, the labyrinth is real, and the Minotaur is still contained within. This fight would be easy if not for the arena, which is pretty small and can make it hard to dodge effectively. It's also full of pillars that the Minotaur will destroy, but which can definitely get in your way if you're not constantly aware of your surroundings.
Can't believe I killed the Minotaur! Mother would be so proud!
The Nemean Lion. This beast is another of the animals killed by Hercules during his 12 labors, just like the Erymanthian boar and the Cretan bull. It's also got a few regular lions guarding it, and you can quickly become mobbed by them if you're not too careful. About 4 times the size of a regular lion, it leaps around the arena extremely quickly and deals massive damage if you don't get out of the way in time. A good idea is to take out the regular lions from a distance before triggering the main boss fight, to make it slightly more manageable. And of course, if you're really struggling, you can lure in a group of unwitting mercenaries to distract it.
It's caught!
Argus, the Bright One. There are a few Cyclopses in Odyssey, and none of them are easy. Argus was one of the earlier optional bosses added to the game post-launch, and he's not for the faint of heart. You'll hear that something strange is going on at a volcano, and arrive to find Argus in a lava-filled arena. He does substantial fire damage, so make sure you have resistance to fire or you're going to get destroyed. This fight involves a lot of dodging to stay away from the arena's hazards and his flaming attacks. The bow is your best friend here, as you need to constantly damage his weak point, which is of course his eye. The Caledonian Boar. Though the Caledonian Boar doesn't inflict any status ailments, and though it's the very first legendary animal you fight, it's undoubtedly the hardest of them all. Not only does it appear at a point in the game when you might not have even unlocked the ability to heal during combat, but it also periodically spawns legions of regular boars. Trying to counter or dodge 3 or 4 boars at once can sometimes be impossible, and you can easily get caught in a juggle that kills you in just a few seconds. Leading soldiers and mercenaries into battle is one way to help cheese it, but otherwise, you might just have to leave and come back later when you're more powerful. Medusa.
It's me. Breathe.
Potentially the hardest boss in the entire franchise, Medusa is one tough cookie. You'll need to ensure that all your equipment is upgraded to your level and that you're her level at least. Otherwise, you're going to be demolished. What's really tricky about this fight is that she constantly spawns lackeys. You've then got to dodge the normal enemies and keep out of her petrifying gaze attack, otherwise you'll be frozen to the spot and destroyed pretty quickly. She also teleports around and hides from you, making this fight very challenging. Upgrade your overpower abilities and keep an eye on how much adrenaline you have to be in with a chance.
He must have picked up the artifact and transformed into that creature.
Let us know in the comments which Greek legend you struggle to beat.
You act like any of this matters, but you're a prisoner wherever you are.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.